So we have implemented this slide animation. Look. It's nice, but we can do better. So earlier I told you about animate.css library. This is the homepage of this library. If you go to this address, danadan.github.io/animate.css, you can see this library. In this drop-down list, we have all kinds of interesting effects. So the one I have selected here is bounce out left. Let's have a look. So when I click this button, see what happens to this heading. Did you see? First, it goes to the right and then quickly goes to the left side of the screen. One more time. See? It's a very nice animation. And there are tons of other examples here. So let's see how we can implement this in Angular. One way is to define this transition and play with the animate and style functions, but as you can tell, this is very time consuming and hard because you have to work with all kinds of styles and transformations until you get the desired effect. But these days, there are lots of examples out there. There are lots of working examples. So we want to reuse their code. We don't want to build everything from scratch. So back in animate.css, let's go to their GitHub page. And then here in the source folder, scroll down. So we've got bouncing exits. And in this folder, we have bounce out left. So let's take a look at the implementation of this effect in CSS. So here we're using the keyframes feature of CSS. With keyframes, we can specify multiple frames for an animation. And in each frame, we can apply a different style. So here's an example. In this animation, we have 2 keyframes. The first keyframe is 20% from the beginning. And in this keyframe, we have set the opacity to 1. And we're also transforming the element by moving it 20 pixels to the right side. Now here's the second keyframe. This is at the end of the animation. So here the opacity is 0 and the element is 2000 pixels to the left of where it used to be. A more complex animation has more keyframes, and in each keyframe we'll have different styles. So now, what we need to do is to get these keyframes and apply them in our Angular animation. So here as the second argument to the animate function, we can either pass a style object or multiple keyframes. So when we pass a style object, it's like we have only one keyframe. In a more complex animation, we have multiple keyframes. So I'm going to delete the call to the style function. Instead, I'm going to use the keyframes function. So keyframes, we need to import this on the top. So it's in the same package as Angular/animations. Now this function takes an array. In this array, we have multiple calls to the style function. Something like this. Style. Here we have a bunch of styles, but here we have an additional property, and that is offset. So that's the offset of the keyframe. Now back in animate.css source code, this is the offset of our first keyframe, 20%. So here we need to set offset to 0.2. And then we can apply all the styles in this keyframe. So here we have 2 styles, opacity and transform. So opacity, we set this to 1. And transform, I'm going to rewrite this in a cleaner way. So instead of using the transform 3D, I'm going to use translate X because we're only changing the X value. So translate X, shift it 20 pixels to the right, and that's it. So this is our first keyframe. Now, we should duplicate this. We're going to have another keyframe. The second one is at offset 1. Here we want to change the opacity to 0 and move this element outside the screen. So minus 100%. So basically what we have here is the combination of fade out and slide out with a bouncing effect. Okay, now let's test the result. Back in the browser, I'm going to delete an item. Did you see? each item bounces and then moves to the left side of the screen. One more time. I think that looks pretty good. So here's the lesson. To implement more complex animations, use keyframes and define various styles for each keyframe. Each keyframe should have an offset property that determines the relative position of the keyframe from the beginning of the animation.